In the previous session, we talked about getRecord method of the UI record API, and in this session, we are going to talk about UI record API's getRecords. If we want to fetch more than one record, then getRecords support multiple IDs. So in a similar way, to use getRecords, first thing is we have to import it. So here, like earlier, we worked on this getRecord, and now we have to add s at the end. Here, let's bring more than one contact record, get contact records. So similar kind of syntax here. Will have one parameter here, result, and then we are going to destructure it, and we are going to fetch data comma error here, and then result. And then we're gonna add if condition, and then we're gonna add else condition, else if, sorry. And here we'll have error, and then here we have data. So instead of, like, this is a boilerplate thing that we have to deal with. So one is we could do is in this way, or we can just use this snippet and it'll do this boilerplate thing for us. So to use this snippet, what we need to do is just press WRMT. This is coming from the snippets app that I have uploaded in the VS Code Marketplace, and we just use this, and we need not to type this common code or boilerplate thing every time we are dealing with wire method. So here, like, I'll give get contact records. I'll just give the name get contact records, and the second thing is the method to wire. Earlier it was get record, and now it is get records. And now it's time to pass parameters. So parameter here, it's little different. Here the syntax is little different for get records. So instead of just passing record ID and fields, what we could do is we have to first pass records, and then records is going to be an array. And inside the array, there is going to be one object, and that one object will have record IDs. Okay, so we need to import the wire method also. Okay. So this is going to be like records, which is going to be an array, and the array is going to have one object where first key is going to be record IDs, and the record IDs is going to be an array. Earlier we were passing just single record, and here now we pass list of IDs here. So since we are not designing any UIs right now, we are just going to hard code the IDs here, and here we can paste it like this, and then second ID we can copy it and paste it here. And the other key is going to be fields, and in both get record and get records method, we have one option is to pass the fields, and since UI record API takes care of FLS and OLS, and if user doesn't have a read access to any of the fields that we have passed in the fields array, then it is going to be a runtime error. So during the page load, it would throw an error that this field doesn't exist or user don't have access, something like that. So if we don't want that error to occur on the screen, then what we could do is, instead of using fields, we can use optional fields. So the difference between fields attribute and optional fields is, if user doesn't have read access, then fields is going to throw a runtime error, but in the optional fields it won't throw any error, but it won't fetch the data also. It's just the difference is only throwing the error. So if we want the error to be thrown if user doesn't have a field level access, then we can go with this fields property, and otherwise we could go with this optional field like this. It is going to be optional with F caps. Otherwise, if we want the error to be thrown, and usually if user doesn't have access and a user is not getting a record, we should throw some errors. So it's better to use fields. But in case if you see a scenario where you don't want to show an error if user doesn't have access, then you could go with optional fields instead of using this fields attribute of getRecords method. So here in a similar manner we are going to import the fields. Here let's change the name. First it is going to be name, and then it is going to be email, and then it is going to be contact.name, and then second one is going to be contact.email. Now let's import them here like this, and email is going to be like this. And now for the time being, just console log it and data, and then going to be data. Okay, so now to see this in action, we have this Aura application created here, and clicking on the update preview. Okay, so now we got the data in a JSON format because we are using JSON.stringify. To read it in a more accurate way, we could go to this JSON viewer. Usually I prefer to use JSON viewer, but you can use any JSON viewer out there. And if we format it, if we want to see it in a more readable way, then we have this viewer also. First is going to be, we have to go with data.results, and then this results is a array of object, and in the first object we again have to go in result, and then we use fields object, and then we use name of the field, and then value, and then finally we'll get the value of this field. So what we need to do is, if we want to fetch the name or email, what we need to do is we just Control C Control V here, and now let's bring the name. As we have seen, it is going to be data.results, and after results it is another result is an array. So if we want to fetch the first record, because we are dealing with two records here, and result is going to be an array. So for the time being, what we could do is, in real time scenario, of course we have to use a for loop here, but for now, like, we could fetch the 0th element, and then we can use dot notation again, and then we can go with the fields. No, sorry, we have to go with the result, and then we have to go with result dot, I guess it was fields, then dot email dot value. Okay, now let's save it, and let's see if we wrote it in a correct way. So after results 0th element, we are going like result, and then we are going fields, and then name of the field, and then value. So result dot fields dot name of the field, and then value. So hope I haven't made any blunder. Let's deploy it and see this in action, and for that we have to reload this page, and now it should render email also. Phew. So we got this email without any issue and error. So this is the syntax change when we are using getRecords. So this is all about getRecords. So now if you have any question, any confusion, or any suggestions related to getRecord or getRecords, so do mention in the comment section and I'll respond to each and every query or suggestion as soon as I can. So thank you so much.